Quapple, as well as Burton and Kelly will round out your top 10. Pace car is going to dive to the safety of the pit lane, and the field is going to work into the hands of Doug Barnes. And we are underway. Green flag is out for the 8th annual Icebreaker. Lap number 1 sees Doug Barnes Jr. ahead. Connor Hall gets single file, but the battle is on for third. Matt Cox working that outside lane and pinning down car 95 on the bottom. Cox is clear for third.
Yeah, Cox, one of the cars that was really quick here last fall, working there with his teammate, Sam Yarbrough, just behind in the number 95. That's third, fourth. Side-by-side battle for fifth, just behind. Caden Honeycutt in the all-white number 10, trying to work that Congo train on the bottom with Jacob Hefner in the green and white number 95, making some hay up top around the outside of Yarbrough.
You'll see that second lane come into play. A couple of drivers kind of like to make it work as everybody kind of gets down to the inside. You see all the checkups that go on when everybody's trying to get down and save a little bit of tire. But Jacob Hefner able to make a move by on the outside and slot himself into fourth. So a 95 and a 95 round out your top 5. But Hefner moves in front of Yarbrough.
At the front of the pack, it continues to be Doug Barnes, who has been able to open up a bit of an advantage there by about 3 car lengths over Connor Hall, who holds down second spot. Then it's Matt Cox, who is just in third. And Jacob Hefner just moved up into the front 4 as there's single file throughout the top 6. There's Carson Quapple trying to work the top side.
Several double file battles here going on. You can see a new coat of paint on that number 8 machine for Junior Motorsports and Carson Quapple. No longer the iRacing red, white, and blue, but boy, that Bass Pro Shop machine, it has a little bit of a sparkle to it right there. Looks really good out from the grandstands here at Florence, and so much success for Carson Quapple throughout his racing career. The 2022 Cars Tour late model stock champion, working to the outside of Jeb Burton, who announced a little bit earlier in this offseason a full-time ride with Jordan Anderson Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. This battle right here is just on the outskirts of the top 10.
That battle continues off of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway. Just in front of him, one car that got drop kicked out of that bottom portion was that of Jacob Hefner. They're just going to come up to the back end of that number 95 car, who's kind of kicked up to the high side down the main straightaway. Here comes Honeycutt looking to the inside of Yarbrough. That's for fourth.
Side by side they go. We mentioned Yarbrough and his experience, looking to back it up and use a little bit of those tires, perhaps a little bit later in this race. Again, only 125 laps, but you can see the distance that Doug Barnes Jr. has up front, a couple of car lengths over the field. And talking to a lot of these drivers, they kind of want this a little bit. Drivers like Yarbrough, drivers like Dale Earnhardt Jr., they want these guys to go up front and have somebody set the pace for them, allow somebody else to drag along the rest of the field while they're able to tuck down a line and try to save a little bit of those Hoosier tires.
And that could be why, if we look at some of the timing and scoring, we're not seeing some of the names that we thought work their way up towards the front do so just yet. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Mason Diaz, they're all in that category. And one storyline we didn't get to touch on earlier, as Barnes puts another lap on the board, is that the South Carolina 400 winner, Brendan Butterbean Queen, had a problem in qualifying. He is currently about a half a lap off the leaders, running at the bottom portion of the running order after they thrashed to get the car prepared. We'll keep you posted on his progress through the pack as Barnes continues to lead. Junior's trying to work his way further forward.
And tough luck there for Brendan Butterbean Queen. Again, we mentioned his success at this racetrack, won in his opening race for Lee Pulliam Performance back here in the fall. And it has been a tough weekend, or tough day rather, for Brendan Butterbean Queen. You can also see directly in front of him, Jaden Redknapp had a couple of spins in practice a little bit earlier. He spun a handful of times and could never really get the handle on that machine. As you can see, Ryan Millington, Carson Quapple again. This is the battle just outside of the top 10. Millington right now holds 11th. And you see the teammates for Junior Motorsports, Quapple and Earnhardt, going side by side.
When you looked at the box score from the South Carolina 400, was surprised to see that Carson Quapple, the reigning Cars late model stock champion, only led 3 laps here last year, even though he was up there banging doors with just about everybody for the top spot and had to settle for second. Right now, he's kind of trapped up on the top side and is losing a couple of spots, while Barnes continues to nurse about a 2-car length lead with a newcomer up to third and looking for more. That's Caden Honeycutt entering your picture.
And Honeycutt was a little bit hesitant in thinking if he would have speed. Talked to him a little bit yesterday. They hadn't exactly tested as much as they thought. A lot of these teams who have made a couple of laps, they hadn't tested this car before coming out here to Florence. Oh, a big move on the outside there for second. Here comes that driver that Jacqueline was talking to us about a little bit earlier. A lot of confidence here for Zach Miracle, side by side for second. He's going to go around and nearly clears Connor Hall into turn number 1. Off of turn number 2, they are dead even. Miracle pulling just ahead. Connor Hall battling back on the bottom.
We mentioned the potential of comers and goers. Right now, Zach Miracle is trying to play the role of a goer right now because he is going towards the front. Let's head down trackside to Jacqueline Drake. Jacqueline, what do you got for us?
The 51 of Matt Cox, he's currently in 6th right now, is just riding, trying to find the right time to execute the 2021 Florence Motor Speedway track champion. Finished 2nd last year. He's going for another championship this year in the 2023 season, but he knows his way around this short track.
Boy, did we just see 3 wide off of turn number 4. 3 wide here at Florence Motor Speedway. You don't see it very often. Sam Yarbrough in the thick of things with that. But he was able to make it happen. Jeff Burton able to gain 1 more spot. He's now up to 7th, looking for 6th to try to catch Sam Yarbrough, who is still just hanging around the top 5. And Honeycutt now under attack from Matt Cox. A lot going on here. And, oh, by the way, Eric, we're just 16 laps into this thing.
As you can see on the top of your ticker, still 104 laps to go, and we're double wide, about 4 rows deep, with work on the top side there. Is that of Yarbrough, got kicked up top, and just in front of them, they almost go 3 wide again as Honeycutt backed out to slot back behind Zach Miracle and Matt Cox, who's rubbing his way up to 3rd.
Side by side now for 3rd. Matt Cox down to the bottom of the racetrack. Zach Miracle, who has been making that 2nd lane work for him these last handful of laps, and you can see he's caught all the way up to Connor Hall once again, trying to make that move for 2nd. Zach Miracle, though, is trying to make it work and pinning down Cox masterfully right there, using all of that 2nd lane to try and make up as much time as possible.
You have to wonder for Matt Cox if he looks at last November as the one that got away. Remember, he led many, many laps. In fact, took home one of the stage wins in the South Carolina 400. We're not going to see that here today in the Icebreaker, but he got taken out in a crash off turn number 2 while racing for 3rd late in the going, and he is trying to methodically work his way up towards the top of the pylon as Zach Miracle works the high side yet again on Connor Hall. This is off turn 4 for 2nd.
You know, that lead's not starting to look so large for Doug Barnes Jr. either. Just up the road, it's down to about a car length, maybe a car length and a half. As contact made between Miracle and Connor Hall, they save it, but I think a little bit of contact made there in turns 1 and 2 in that battle for 2nd. But Doug Barnes Jr., I mean, the 24-year-old out of Forest Hill, Maryland, was talking about getting out of his comfort zone at a lot of these type of flatter racetracks this year. That was a goal of his. He'll be running at Dominion a lot this year, which has a lot of banking. 3 wide, though, for 2nd. Miracle thinks better of it. Here comes Matt Cox as 1 car is slow and off the pace. 91 brings it down to the pits. 94, rather. That is Jamie Weatherford who pulls in.
We've been seeing a lot of 3 wide action going into turn number 3, and it almost happened about a lap ago, and they thought better of it. Hoping that we'll see even more of that as the race continues to unfold as they come off of turn number 4. All the while, it looks as though that Weatherford is not the only car that has gone to the pit area. We also saw the number 55 of Mark Wertz go to the pits while the leaders head up to the back straightaway.
And that is tough for Mark Wertz, who had a lot of strong runs, a great-looking race car, and loves that team. Feels good that his team of shipyard workers and a few Navy guys can sometimes go out and battle with with these big teams, but unfortunately an issue gone amiss on car 55, and he pulls down to the pits. But meanwhile, back up front, another three-wide move. Sam Yarborough on the outside gets shuffled out by Connor Hall. They are still side by side for second in a battle that has not ceased for roughly the last 10 laps.
I can't imagine what we're going to see in the late stages of this race as far as everyone's available entry into that third turn, because everybody's going buck wild at the end of the back straightaway, as Cox just did there to get around Hall for second. And now Yarborough's kind of trapped up on the top side of Miracle, who just won't let go of that fifth position. Zach Miracle has worked himself up into the top five and refuses to relinquish himself an opportunity to fall too far behind the leaders as Yarborough continues to work the outside of three.
You know, all these drivers that we talked to throughout the week, they talked about saving, they talked about being there at the end, they talked about being patient. I'm not seeing a whole lot of that right now. I'm seeing a call for track position. You got to think here, with a little bit of the weather what we've had again,